Hey, I'm Mr. Roboto. This is my September 13th, 2021 trade review. Very quickly, we'll talk about QQQ and my thesis going into the day. And then we'll talk about 4 trades that I took: BA puts, Apple calls, Tesla calls, and Zoom puts. And then we'll talk very briefly in the end about how I paper-handed Tesla, and then how I've done this quite a bit actually recently, and how I plan to fix this. So diving right in, we can go to QQQ, and you can see that on Friday, everyone knows we had this big bearish day on Friday. We actually broke through this support that we have been holding for quite a while now, and we broke right through it. But if you look at the moving averages on QQQ, QQQ likes to bounce off of this 20 moving average. This purple line, QQQ likes to bounce off of it. You know, here's one where it actually bounced off the 10, the blue line, the 10 moving average. But, you know, here's a day where it bounced on the 20, bounced on the 20 again, bounced on the 20, you know, and it's just holding and riding this 20. It does sometimes on bigger pullbacks like to go down to the 50 moving average. But so on Friday, we didn't quite get to the 20 moving average. And today I thought there would be a good chance that we would test the 20 moving average. I also thought there would be a good chance that we would just rip up and reclaim this range from last week. But you can see that didn't quite happen, and we can see that what happened today was this morning I was pretty bullish, not pretty bullish, but there was pretty bullish price action in the after hours yesterday or this morning. You can see that this is the low that we put in on Friday, and then we went up, and then we retested this low, and then we bounced right back up, and then we went all the way back into this what I had as a 30-minute demand turn supply. And how did I get this? So if you go to 30-minute. So these were the zones that I had going into the day for the most part. So there was this, in after hours, there was this sort of level, this basing candle where we ripped up previously, right? And then on Friday, we sort of sliced right through this zone. So you can see that we were sort of holding this as this was previously a demand zone. So you can, imagine this was green. This was a previous demand zone. But on Friday, we sliced right through it. So, so at that point, you can sort of, how do I undo? So you can sort of just flip this demand zone and turn it now into a demand turn supply zone. These generally aren't the strongest. They are strong if it does serve as demand zone a lot. And if you can see here, if we extend this all the way across, this was a pretty strong demand zone. So I was using this as my supply zone target this morning. We had another, this was actually another 30-minute supply zone right here. You can see this basing candle, this green basing candle. Take the open of that, and then all the way to the top of the wick. That forms your 30-minute supply. And then higher up, we had a 1 hour. So if we move over to the 1 hour, higher up, we had this 1 hour supply zone. Oops. Oh, okay. So we had a 1 hour supply zone here, and then we had another 1 hour supply zone. This might actually have been a 30-minute supply zone. Yeah, this was a 30-minute supply. This is actually a 30-minute supply zone, and then up here we had a 1 hour supply zone. But you can, as you can see in pre-market, we got all the way to the top of this 30-minute demand zone, and it sort of got stuffed. It didn't go any higher than this. You know, it just kept going down, and then it actually ripped all the way down from here. Oops, sorry, over here. So it wicked all the way up, and then heavy selling pressure this morning, heavy selling pressure. And there was a small bounce here at this 1 hour demand. This was a used 1 hour demand. So I didn't like this one as much. I thought it would get lower than this. Pretty choppy morning. So very you had to be very patient with going long this morning, especially when you see a whole bunch of selling like this. Anytime my demand zones sort of get sliced through, I become very hesitant going long because there's a chance that we're gonna keep slicing through demand zones. You kind of have to at that point um, be very hesitant and be a lot more patient going along. And at that point, I look for confirmation before I go long, rather than trying to catch dips or anything like that. Because you can set bids down here and into your demand zone and try to catch it and try to go back up. But a lot of times, if I'm trying to go long and I'm trying to hold and look for like the daily reversal, then I'm going to need some sort of confirmation rather than just going dip buying. But it did end up stopping right here at this supply turn demand. And then I got this from, this was a previous resistance and it sliced through this. And then so I flipped this to a supply. Rather than being a supply zone, I flipped this to a supply turn demand. And then this was my your demand zone. And you can see that this worked fairly well today. It did pierce through it quite a couple times, but if you were playing this, then this could have been a good demand zone to play off of. But so I played BA. BA was one of my number one watches. I actually posted this in Twitter. So BA, I'm expecting BA to run at open, and then I'm watching to see if it faces resistance at 212.50. So BA did run at open, and then I had this 212.65, 212.50 zone. And so my idea was watching to see if it faces resistance at this zone, and then the next supply zone was 215.5, and you can see that up here. This was a 215.5 supply zone. And my thought was I would like to play puts at these supply zones. So I actually played BA in the morning, and you can see here. So right around here, I didn't play this original run. This looked kind of weak to me, and I wasn't able to execute fast enough, and I didn't want to buy BA early. I think there was a day last week where I got into BA puts early, and I ended up having to sit in some red, being negative on that trade for quite a bit longer than I would like to. So I didn't want to get into BA puts early, so I didn't enter here, and it actually dipped without me. And at this point, I was kind of regretting not getting into the trade. But luckily, it ended up bouncing at this 1 hour demand zone, and then I did get a second opportunity to play puts on BA. How did I get this 1 hour demand zone? You can see, let me see, intraday, 30 minutes. I sort of was just playing off of, this was the previous low that it keep bouncing off of. And then over here, there was a sort of consolidation here, and it ripped up from here in pre-market. So this is kind of weak, but I marked this as the 1 hour demand zone. So going back into the actual trade, I took puts right here. and I took more puts right around here, and I wrote it all the way down to right about here. Actually, my executions are on Twitter, so you can pull that up real quick. That's not it. So I'm pulling it up really quickly. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this was my execution on BA. So if we look at this real quickly, I took puts. Actually, I took it a little early. I took puts here, here, and right at the top, I took puts. And then I ended up scaling out on BA right around here, as well as right here, here, and then I was holding to see if it was going to break through this demand zone. It never did. So on the way back up, I scaled out my last portion, like right around here. Really good trade for me. But there was another supply zone at 215.5 that I wanted to play BA short again. And as you can see, here's 215.5. You know, at this point, I was thinking about playing calls here, but I was being patient with it, and I chose not to play calls here. I said that I think BA is, you know, it's potentially going to keep going, and it's never stopped here before. It's always gone up to this supply zone. So there was no point in getting into BA puts early. So I saw this move right here, and what I didn't like was that it was sort of consolidating at the highs. So this kind of spooked me, and I ended up not taking this trade. And in hindsight, this was the wrong move. And the reason, and I can show you why this was not, I should have played it, was because previously at this supply zone, BA has always pierced it. It's always pierced it, and it's always gone above and beyond this supply zone. And the fact that it's consolidating below the supply zone, that means it's even weaker now. So this should have been a good, I should have entered here short. I should have entered here short. I think there was a mix of I didn't want to enter puts early. So I did want to, if it ended up going up here, I definitely wanted to play shorts up here or puts up there, but it never got up here. So I was waiting and waiting and waiting for the move up, and it never came. So I should have taken that into consideration and realized that BA was actually weak here and not strong. Because again, it's always pierced this zone, and today it can't even pierce it. So this could have been a really good move for me, and this was actually the move that I was looking to play all day. But in the last, when the opportunity came, I didn't take it. But it was all good because I did play it in the morning, and you know I was able to get one really good trade off of BA this morning. Apple, very quickly, I took Apple calls on Friday. So I took Apple calls right at the end of the day, and I took them right around here. It just seemed like a really good dip on Apple. Apple is one of those blue chip stocks that everyone wants to get into, and they want to long it. And then so when you get a candle like this on Apple, you know, if you once you get a daily candle like this on Apple, this just screams buy the dip to me. You know, I think there was a chance that Apple just rips up and then starts consolidating up here, But my plan for these calls on Friday was to, essentially ride it up and then sell them at the first pop. So essentially, it's sort of like a dead cat bounce. I didn't want a long apple like to hold long term from here because I think there's a good chance that it goes down to here, and this is where I would want a long, for 2, 3, 4, 5 months as a swing. Here, my this was sort of just a scalp for me, and I wanted to sell at the first sign of resistance, and that's essentially what I did today. I had a daily resistance level here. I had another daily resistance level up here, and the fact that it was moving so strong in pre-market, I figured there would be a lot of selling um, going into market open, and that's exactly what happened. So I essentially sold both of my all of my contracts here this morning on Apple. Very quick trade, and it was nice to be up with fairly little effort to start today. Tesla, what a crazy move on Tesla today. I don't think anybody expected Tesla to do the sort of move that it had today. It blew all the way down past my zones, and it came all the way back up and ended the day green, which is pretty remarkable if you think about it. I was looking to buy the dip on Tesla, but it sliced through all my zones, and then so I was being extra patient with it and trying to find the dip. And then by the time I realized that the reversal and the low of day was in, it was already at a point where it was a little too high for me to want to long it for the rest of the day. So I did get into Tesla right around here. It ripped all the way up. I have a lot of FOMO at this point, but it did provide a pullback. I thought this pullback was going to go more. I was looking for a pullback down to here, off of this area, but it never went down that low, and then went up, and then went back down, and then so this was my final opportunity to get in. So I got in like right around here. But the way I play Tesla, I scalp it really heavily because I don't like to be in Tesla for too long. So I'll play it heavier than I normally would for other equities, but I don't hold long at all. So my target when entering here was actually just this high. Like I wanted to get close to 728. This was my target from here to here, and that would have been a really good scalp for me had I been able to get to this point. But I actually sold right around here. It got up to this point, and then I saw a little bit of red on the 5 minute, and then I got out. So still a really good scalp for me. But seeing the move that Tesla ended up putting into the day was a little disappointing for me in that I wasn't able to hold longer here. But at the end of the day, my plan was to scalp it. My plan was to play it heavy and to scalp it, and that's what I ended up doing. I traded my plan. Had I held right here and Tesla ends up, not making this sort of move, but actually going down, being heavy into a position, if I would have like cut my position like right around here, this would have been a pretty sizable loss for me. So I don't think that would have been, that's a result that I don't want to happen. So I was more than happy with this scalp at the time. And if I could look into the future, obviously, yes, it would have been right to hold it, but I can't. And a lot of times, if I don't sell here, I end up selling down here and taking an L. So yeah, I'm actually, in some doing some reflection in the past couple of hours. I'm actually happy with how I traded Tesla. But in the future, I do want to, get this move in the future. So I think I'm going to change my strategy on Tesla. Instead of going heavy, I'm probably just going to take a smaller size so that I can ride out these dips in the future and potentially um, capitalize on this sort of move. So we'll see how that ends up working for me. I'm pretty sure I'm going to play Tesla again sometime this week. So rather than taking my heavy scalps on it, I will see if I can, if taking it lighter will end up in a better outcome. And then very lastly on the day, I'm swinging. I was swinging Zoom. I had entered Zoom last week, right around here, and then right around. This was a pretty bad FOMO buys, but I did add some more here on Friday, and then today I added more Zoom right around here, and this immediately went red. Um, but I was swinging Zoom. It was never an intraday trade. Um, so I was comfortable sitting in red in Zoom. But then eventually it got over here, and then I saw that there was this potential break, this trend line break right here. So I actually exited all of my Zoom position, and then with the market looking like it was going lower, I'd rather just exit the swing and re-enter later when it has found a bottom than potentially Zoom breaking down even lower and then my swings really being in the red and then messing with me mentally throughout the day. Because anytime a swing is too deep into the red for me, like it messes how I trade, how I day trade. So I'd rather just not have a swing that's like heavily in the red and just cut it for a loss. So that's what I ended up doing on Zoom. So I actually cut my loss, cut my swing on on Zoom like right around here. But at the same time, so I took an L on my Zoom swings right here. But at the same time, I entered puts. I entered puts on Zoom right around the same time, and I wrote it all the way to low a day. So I got out right here, and that actually made up a lot of what I lost on the swing. I was still negative on Zoom for, between these two trades, I'm still negative on Zoom, but I was able to recoup about 2/3 of my actual loss by playing puts to the downside. So that was good, good recovery, and it made cutting the swing more palatable for me. Yeah, that's it for me for my trades. Today was profit wise, it was a good day, but I left a lot of money on the table with Tesla, and that kind of you, I felt the urge to potentially revenge trade and try to make back, not make back, but like try to make that unrealized gain in something else. And then when I felt that urge, I pretty much had to get off the computer because I knew that there was a chance that I would blow away my profit for today. Um, but yeah, that's it for me. And if anyone has questions or anything, my Twitter's open. You can hit me up on Discord. And yeah, I hope everyone has a good night, and let's have another good trading day tomorrow.